Mile is when a group of people come together, or people that live on a road come together and they decide, well, look, we think we have a mile of road here that is good enough to enter into the Galway Golden Mile competition. Now, the competition itself is judged on a number of categories: built heritage, natural heritage, community effort, road safety and litter management, and then the completion of the application form. So the community group will have to carry out research on the built heritage on the mile, the natural heritage on the mile. Obviously, they will have to select a safe mile, because we would be encouraging people from that community to walk this mile. So we don't want a busy or a main road.
The initiative itself started off in Tipperary, and it was set up by a man called John Devan, who was working with North Tipperary Leader. And he got the idea in the millennium to set up a Golden Mile project, and it is an initiative really for people that live in the countryside. He felt that you had a Tidy Towns project that was there for towns, but there was nothing for people living in rural areas to showcase the wealth of, I suppose, their heritage.
Basically what we look for in a Golden Mile is that we want to see that the local community can bring out what's best in their mile, whether it be the natural heritage of the mile, the built heritage on that mile, maybe the local culture and the stories of the mile, that they actually give us a sense of what the mile is about, a sense of the place that they come from themselves. So built heritage can cover several different aspects. From our perspective, what we're looking at is to see that communities have maybe taken appreciation of the archaeology that's in the background on their mile. Rural Ireland is full of archaeological features and monuments, ring forts, maybe an old tower house, church. Then you have the other types of built heritage, such as the stone walls, just the ordinary vernacular walls that people built back in the 18th and 19th century. That's all part of built heritage. You might have a well on the side of the road where people went to collect water over the years. Could be a local pump, or maybe even something like a blacksmith-made gate. We're looking for all of these different items, if you like, or aspects of interest that you find in the mile. Natural heritage can be quite broad. You're looking at the whole area of biodiversity and how, I suppose, nature itself and how we live intertwine, how one works with the other. And what we try to do there is to bring out the best on the mile, to be able to present what's on that mile by way of biodiversity and natural heritage.
In the Tidy Towns competition, there's a huge emphasis on kind of creating new, I suppose, environments and painting and, doing a lot of works. Whereas with the Golden Mile, we see that the countryside is naturally beautiful in its own right, and it's showcasing what's there, telling people what's on the mile, and maybe doing very small works.
The first time ever I realised that there was such a thing out there in the community was a Golden Mile about approximately 3 to 4 miles away up in the far side of Ahaska, up in the parish of Fohana, and veering onto the parish of Ahaska into the mile back about 6 years ago. And it was the Clunbrock Golden Mile. And I was fascinated by it, drove through it several times, walked through it, saw the effort that people had put in, and I said, why not we do something like this in an hour road?
A good example of a community that continued to work on their Golden Mile would have been Runnymede, where they won the competition in 2012, and in 2013 they had really a celebration of their mile, where all the people that would have lived or born or had friends that were on that mile came together for a special day, and they celebrated their mile.
Whatever. And that right of way was used up until the mains water scheme.
So the history of the mile, the built heritage, the national heritage, the folklore of the mile was told to everyone, and it was a real celebration.
Used 30 or 40 at the time, and a little collection of brass lamps on the right hand side. And if you look over on your left hand side there, there's a circle of traps.
We had a walk and a talk on all of the features. As we went along the mile after that, we were blessed with a fine sunny day. We had the sheep wash all regenerated and rebuilt. So we said we wouldn't let it pass without washing a few sheep and let people know what it was like. Now, most of the people there on the day had never seen it been done. In 1971, no sheep had been ever washed since that, because all the price had been the same for wool since that. Beforehand, washed wool was more value at market. It was typical of what it was like when, as I saw it as a child 45 years ago. Sheep were washed the very same way. They were put into the water and they were guided out with a tripod pole. They were called the Galway. They swam through the water and the water washed the wool as the sheep swam in it. Believe it or not, those 20 sheep that were washed, when I showed them 10 days later, you could see the complete difference in the wool. It was absolutely snow white. All the fibres had been gone out of it. And the merchant was, when I went to sell it, was absolutely delighted to see it. He was a man that had seen washed wool in the earlier years. And he said something like this. He says, "Will probably never happen again." He says, "I thought I would never see it." So for things like that, it's all going to be history in time to come, and we're delighted to have it.
We're going to start it here today for 5th class. And as with any division or any system of dividing in, we have...
National schools play a very important role in the mile because in a lot of cases the national school children would actually live on the mile, or the mile might be very close to a national school. So the school can build in a golden mile as part of their normal day-to-day teaching. I know Williamstown, for example, this year were part of a group that entered a mile into the competition, and they decided to concentrate on the birds that were seen on the mile. So the teacher drew up a list of birds that potentially could be seen on the mile, and as the children saw them, they ticked them off. So then they were educating the kids on what bird life was seen in their area, and also they were building up a knowledge themselves and an understanding of all the birds, in this case, that were on their mile.
We got together as a group and we looked at the area and what might be an obvious mile. And one of them was the Abbeyville Walk. We felt it had a lot to offer, number one. We had an end point, which was St. Fahim's Cemetery, and we decided that would be a good place to finish our mile. And we measured back a mile from there, and that determined where we were starting. So it was just about a few hundred yards from the village of Abbey, which is a very small village. We had identified some of the interesting points with the farmers, the landowners on that mile. And one of them, he had land, and he would say to us that you could see right across to the Shannon from his gate. But obviously when you're standing at ground level, it was difficult enough. So he actually went along and built a viewing stand on the entrance to one of his fields, and actually it turned out to be just a wonderful feature on the mile and added significantly to what we could see, because you could see right across to Tipperary, take in a grove of trees in the Ballinasloe Aircourt area. They're known as the Seven Sisters, planted 100 years ago by a local landowner for his 7 daughters. And, you can see the lights right over to Borrisacane at night time. So that was really worthwhile. One of the interesting features was a forge gate. It was absolutely covered over with growth and ivy and whatever. But the farmer who had that land, he came along and said, "Look, I don't mind if you want to, restore it or do something with it." One of the pillars had been totally broken, had, I suppose, disintegrated over the years. And another farmer actually refurbished the pillar and really made a terrific job of the gate. And I suppose when I say an old forge gate, there were local blacksmiths in the area in years gone by, and obviously one of them would have made that gate.
The Golden Mile calendar itself is really a celebration or a thank you really for the groups that entered the competition. So my colleague Michael Burke, he takes the photographs on the mile and has done so for 10 years now. We select the best ones. Each mile will be featured on a particular month on the Golden Mile calendar. We produce in the region of 3,000 calendars each year.
We get many requests for the calendar from abroad. We get people ringing for 5, 10, 15 calendars. They want to send it to their relatives. But also it's used we get a lot of companies asking us for the calendar because it's true Ireland, it's real Ireland. It's not something that's twee or made up. It captures the essence of real Ireland, real people, real rural County Galway. The calendar means a lot of things to a lot of people. First of all, at the local level, there's a pride of place. Secondly, there's people that are abroad and they're yearning for their little bit of Ireland, and that calendar means so much to them. But also for people, other people that are interested in Ireland, it gives a glimpse into how we live, how we see ourselves, and what we value. Really, to have a good understanding of our history and heritage at a national level, we have to drill down and know about what's happening at the local level.